Adrenaline rush now. Adrenaline rush now. Adrenaline rush now.
Welcome to the ACW podcast. My name is Andy. I'm the man behind the camera here at ACW. And today I've got my special guest. He is the leader of Regulation Nation. That's right. I've got the state athletic commissioner, Travis Norbert.
Wait. You don't got him. I allowed you to be graced by my presence, mister. I did you a favor by coming on this show. You didn't get me. I decided to get here when I felt like it. Do you a favor.
I appreciate the favor, Mr. Norbert, and you can rest assured the check is in the mail.
Okay, that's cool. Hey, it's Travis Parsley. How you doing?
And, well, cool, man. Thanks for coming on. Before we get going, though, I just want to remind you guys, for extended episodes of this podcast, you can join us on YouTube or Patreon. We have lots of cool membership access, which gets you full versions of our shows in a TV format. You get exclusive backstage segments, extended versions of the podcast, and more. I want to thank all of our current subscribers and members. It's because of people like you that I get to travel around and shoot videos of these shows, bring you podcasts like this, and bring you all the awesome content of ACW month to month. We also have a new ACW merch shop. You can head over to our YouTube channel and click on the store link. We have hats, t-shirts, stickers, lots of cool stuff there to check out. And lastly, I just wanted to highlight some of our upcoming shows. We've got two upcoming here in March. First one's going to be on March 21st. ACW is here to show the world. That's going to be at the Breakaway 2 Sports Lounge in Hagerstown, Maryland. We've got Nick Nemeth coming in. He's going to be in action against Ben Bishop, and he's also going to be available for meet and greets. You guys do not want to miss this event. You can head over to acwtix.com for tickets there. And then a week after that, on Friday, March 28th, we have ACW presenting Queen of Maryland. This is part of our FIRE brand, FIRE standing for Female In-Ring Entertainment. This is an all-women show. It's a really cool, unique show. I don't know many independent promotions that do this and have all women. And Travis, I know you were at last year's show. Talk to me a little bit about what that was like.
We blew the roof off of that place. So I was on site. Sugar Dan was there with me. I think Brother Demo was there. And, you know, keeping it real with the clique, you know. We had, I think there were it looked to be some teeth flying out of the ring. I know there's a dental shop down the street, and they probably made it bank that night. So gives you an idea on the kind of excitement that's on the way there.
Yeah, it's going to be a cool show. I'm excited for it this year. That's going to be at Reflections Hall in Baltimore, Maryland. Again, acwtix.com for tickets. So that's definitely going to be a show you guys do not want to miss. Yeah, let's go ahead and get into the interview. Travis, thanks again for coming on. I really appreciate you making time for me. And how are you doing?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Good. I can't complain. And let's get into the questions here. So first, tell me a little bit about where you grew up and a little bit about your childhood, man.
Oh, okay. Just so the audience knows, I didn't get any of these questions ahead of time, so I have no idea when Andy's going to ask me here. So, but there's a level of trust here, so I know he's not going to put me on the spot too much. But yeah. So where I grew up in the inner city of Baltimore City. A lot of people say they come from Baltimore, and then you check with them, they live out in Glen Burnie somewhere or whatever. That is not Baltimore City. I grew up in Patterson Park, North Side. Okay, that is Baltimore City, right? So I had a rough childhood growing up. I come from a rough area, and wrestling back then was our social media. You know, and I wasn't really in a financial spot to be able to have like MTV or have cable television paid back then, you know, so we had our entertainment through wrestling a lot in my parents' house. And it was a big part of our culture growing up, you know. So, you know, Saturdays mornings or Saturday nights, you know, we had WCW on one network, and this goes to show how old I am. And then we had WWF back then on another network, and the whole family would sit around and watch it, and that was our family time, and kind of bonded over it. And that's where the genesis came from, my passion and love with wrestling. But yeah, so I'm a Baltimore boy, and that's kind of like the birth of the wrestling aspect inside. Yeah.
That's awesome that your whole family just kind of connected and bonded over that. Like I grew up with it. My dad was kind of my connection to that, and I don't remember him watching it a ton with me, but I know he was like my introduction to it. He always told me that there was a school not too far away that WWF had done like a house show years and years ago, back probably in the 70s, and he saw like Roddy Piper, Andre the Giant, and like all of some of the like iconic greats there. And so I always heard that story from him growing up. And so that's really cool that your family bonded over that. And now do you remember, like, was there a certain age that you really kind of like it grabbed your attention?
I mean, I don't remember the exact age, but I mean, I don't know, maybe I was 7 years old or whatever. And it was the biggest things going at the time. It was Dusty Rhodes, it was Sting, it was Ric Flair, it was Hulk Hogan at the time. Not much of a fan of Hulk Hogan really, but Ultimate Warrior back then. And you go back to the greats, Jake the Snake, and Road Warriors, and Four Horsemen, and those were the names that were appealing to me as a child and everything, and it drew my attention and brought me in. So, being a kid, you're looking for other characters in life. You have your cartoons that you watch or whatever, and you go play baseball or basketball, in a local court or whatever, and you goof around and you pretend to be a wrestler, in front of your friends or whatever, and it's all about finding other characters in life, and I guess wrestling provided an avenue for that, especially me and my family back then. So
nice. That's really cool. And so you mentioned a lot of different people. Was there like who would you say were some of your favorites that you really like followed?
I mean, see, we weren't really into like this whole tribalism thing that I think a lot of fans, a lot of viewers out there are into now. Like I see a lot of people online are like, oh, I'm only AEW, or I'm only WWE or whatever. Back then, for me anyway, these are wrestlers. I don't care where they wrestle. I just want to see them. I don't care what channel they're on. If they work here one day and work in another place, then so be it. But my favorite always has been Ric Flair. It's Ric Flair and Sting. Those were my two. As I got older, I started branching out and liking other types of characters. So I started liking the Kurt Angle types, and as time went on and I got even older, I became a big CM Punk fan. So those are pretty much like my favorite actual wrestlers that came way before me ever being given the privilege to step into a ring.
That's really cool that you got to pull from like all these different sources.
And I'll tell you where "That's Right" came from. My little catchphrase. Yeah. That's right. Right. That came from, again, Ric Flair. There were a couple promos where Ric Flair would start repeating himself, because he's losing his mind. He repeats the same word over and over again, reassuring himself. And ACW had a show. I think it was in Sykesville. What was this, about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago?
14
it was the Teddy Long show.
Yeah.
And I wanted to impress Teddy Long. And I just wanted to just go all out with my character and just like kind of explode, because I grew up watching Teddy Long. He's a legend. And I don't know how much I can reveal on this podcast, but Pops was sitting there with Teddy Long, and I walked around in character, and I had my state athletic commissioner outfit on. And I went up to Teddy, and I didn't introduce myself or like tell him I was a worker or anything like that. I just pretended to be the state athletic commissioner, and I said something rude to him, and in character, not letting him know that I was just working him. And apparently, he looked over at Pops and said something to the effect of, "Yeah, them types have been stealing from me since the beginning of time or something. Something like that. And so apparently I fooled him for at least a second. So that's a badge of honor. And I remember doing my promo on Chris Wilde. And I wanted to channel Ric Flair in front of Teddy Long for that. And I wanted to impress him. And that's where it just came out. It just came out, and I started repeating myself and, reassuring every word that I said, to make sure that it's in line with my vision as, Travis Norbert. Yeah. And, when I got to the locker room, I had a couple of the guys back there just like, they're saying, holy shit, you got to keep that. That, oh my God, that was something. Oh my God. And they loved it. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll hang on to that. So ever since then, I kept that as a catchphrase, so.
That's awesome. And yeah, that was a really good promo for you too. Cause and I could definitely see the Ric Flair, like the crazy Ric Flair in that. Cause your eyes were bugging and you're very intense with it. And yeah, I could definitely see the Ric Flair influence with that promo. But that was a really good one. Yeah. And that set up a lot of good storyline for what was to come, with the championship picture and even eventually set up a championship match with you and Chris Wilde. Talk to me a little bit about that, man, having the opportunity to do that.
My very first wrestling match in front of an audience, because me coming out of training, you have your matches in training, but we don't count those. But your first match on a show is always special. And my very first match in front of an audience was for the heavyweight championship. I had a lot of the guys making me think that it's going to be very easy for me, because I'm a character and, he's just a manager or whatever. And I'm a rookie who can actually wrestle and have matches. But you're not going to have to do too much. So don't be so nervous. We know it's your first time and everything. We're going to come out and we're going to help you. We're going to have guys come out and assist, and some guys are going to play along and take some of the stress off you and everything, and help with storyline and everything. So you don't have to stand there under the spotlight, freaked out or anything. And it'll probably be a short match, maybe like 5 minutes or so. And I go in and I look at the match card, and I'm looking for my match, and I'm looking for the 5-minute match or whatever. And I look up and it says 13 minutes, and I'm like, oh, okay. That's a lot of performing I got to do in a wrestling match. It's my very first time. And I was like, okay, well, I guess there's going to be a lot of run-ins, and, that'll take up some time and everything. So I don't have to freak out too much. Nope,
not one.
Nothing. It was a straight wrestling match with me and Chris Wilde, and that was it. I was lucky that my first opponent, Chris Wilde, was such a professional. He led me the whole way. Yeah. He was so patient with me. He had the vision on how to get me through this. He made it look good. Yeah. And he was able to go over that story with me and have me perform, with him in the ring in a way that I think the fans really liked and they really enjoyed. And when I went through the door out into the audience, I think you were there, right there in front of me. All the nervousness, all of the anxiety or whatever, it was gone. Yeah. It just gone. Because it was showtime, and like there's a switch that turns on. Right. And as soon as the switch turns on, it's like Travis Norbert time. Yeah. And I go to the ring and I'm in character, and it's the only thing that's alive at that point. There's no more Travis Parsley anymore. It's just Travis Norbert. It went over very well, and I was happy. I was excited, and I got a lot of compliments, from the audience after the match when I came out for intermission. And ever since then, Travis Norbert's been, just high as I can go, as far as I can go, Yeah. I want to be that heel that makes people pissed off and they can't stand him, and I get on their freaking nerves and they want to punch me. They want to slap the shit out of me, right? That's kind of what I want. But at the same time, I want to have that unique, appealing, charismatic character that's appealing to children. Mm-hmm. Danhausen would say, like, you don't want to be too hated. You want to be a little bit of either way, right? Yeah. So if I came out and I was just a total asshole heel, I myself wouldn't be happy with that because I wouldn't be enjoying myself. Like I could do it. I can go out and just be a straight angry, serious heel with no charisma, no humor at all.
Right.
And I'm 100% positive I can pull it off and I can do it in a believable fashion. But I personally wouldn't be having any fun with that. And if I'm going to do this, I want to have fun with it and I want to enjoy it. So my character is going to come out and he's going to be goofy and he's going to be funny. And if people have a problem with that, hey, that's weight on their brain, not mine.
Yeah. And I think that's what makes the character just so likable at times is some of the goofy faces and the catchphrase, you know, and it's so over the top and ridiculous that it's just entertaining, you know. How do you stay straight faced through some of the funnier stuff that you say, through the stuff that you do? Like, I know for me, like I have a really hard time, like if I'm trying to be funny and I think what I say is funny, that I will lose it and I can't keep that straight face. So how do you stay in character, stay in gimmick without like laughing at yourself?
Trauma, childhood trauma, lifetime trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not even like joking, you know, about that. Like, you go through a lot of things, and especially where I grew up, you had to grow up a certain way, and you had to be able to maintain a certain persona. You had to be able to maintain a certain facial stance.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And you had to be very thick-skinned. Sometimes I go out and I get called very hostile, offensive things, and these are sometimes I go to places and people are saying really nasty shit to me. I don't fucking care. Right. I mean, some other people that might get very offended or they're a bit more sensitive to it, but me, I'm so numb. You know what I mean? That whatever insults or whatever, it doesn't bother me. So I guess that kind of carries over to me being able to keep a composure, regardless if I'm laughing on the inside or if I'm angry on the inside or whatever. I can kind of like just put up a wall to where you can't really tell what's behind it. I mean, I never thought I would be in a spotlight where I can be an entertainer. I never thought that until I started doing wrestling. But a lot of people tell me that I've always had it in me. I always had the gift of character, you know, the gift of gab. I can talk. Yeah. And I never put two and two together until I actually started doing it. I had no expectation I would be doing this character work. And now I feel like I've answered a calling that I've had for a long time. And I wish I would have done this a long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I know Nick and I were talking about you one time, and he was telling me that when he realized you were gonna be something worth having is your gift of gab, just the way you talked on the mic and would command an audience. I don't know where that was, if it was just in training or just being around the guys in general, but he said that was like the star power he really saw in you, is that you just had that command on the mic and were able to kind of command the audience that you were speaking to. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, this is cool that you're bringing up these little nuggets. Like, I had no idea you knew about these things or this kind of stuff was going on without me being aware of it. And it's cool that you're bringing these little circumstances up, and I can go back in history and like have these videos play in my head of what was going on and everything. So this is really cool. But Nick is a very good trainer, and you know, I trained at Ride City here in Maryland, and you know, without that, I wouldn't be here. Travis Norbert wouldn't be here without Ride City and Nick. That's true. I just talked to Nick the other day, checking in on him, making sure he's good. But I think I had a lot of just pinned up energy, and I was maybe subconsciously looking for a place as an outlet for that creative energy to go. And then I started training, you know, as a manager at first, and then my training kind of transformed just into regular wrestling training. Like, I'm trained as a professional wrestler. I can have matches. I can do moves. I can do whatever. And the character comes out, and me being able to channel all that energy, that creative energy that I have, it when it comes out, it's like therapy. I can't really describe it. But it's just I'm very lucky to be given a platform to express that creative energy also.
Yeah.
And talking about the gift of gab or whatever. Like when I first started, I wasn't even a state athletic commissioner. I was like a government official or whatever. And I would come up with some like really offensive, like, really angering things, and but people help channel me a certain way and everything, and mold things into a more impactful or return on investment worthy type of character. So
yeah. And what advice would you give to somebody who is thinking about getting into it and maybe has their own roadblocks or whatever that might be? What would your advice be to somebody who wants to get into it or just might be hesitant to?
Well, I got asked this question I think a couple weeks ago, and I thought about it a little bit more, and first of all, you have to have a mindset of commitment. If you don't have the ability to commit to something and actually stick to it, don't waste your time. Don't waste other people's time. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
The second thing is, it's not ballet. It's going to hurt. And if you are the type that is easily affected by being in painful situations, you should not do this.
Yeah.
If you are able to be athletic and I say and you really need the end part, you have the ability to do character work or talk on the mic. You have those two things. If you can wrestle, be athletic, and have character and do mic work, or you think you can, you should do it.
Yeah.
Because that is the crossbreeding of success right there. You have those two things, and you have as a base someone that's committed. You can go far, and this is the type of business that will reward you if you have that mindset and you have that ability. So
yeah,
I would say don't listen to other people that say you can't do it. Don't be so rigid in your own thinking that you cannot get over something or you cannot do something. Go out and test yourself, test the boundaries and test your comfort zones, get past your natural instincts of protecting yourself a certain way or believing you can't jump a certain height or you can't run as fast or whatever. Test it and get someone that is going to believe in you, someone that's going to be patient with you as you're learning. Go to a professional training facility, get good professional trainers. And if you have all that, your chances of going far, I think, are very good.
Yeah.
How far is going to be up to you and, whatever else you can put into it. And there's a lot of luck that's also involved in it.
Yeah.
So choose your friends and your mentors wisely. There's a lot of people that have a lot of advice that should not be giving advice, and you can look at people's track records themselves, where they have been, what they've accomplished, what they've done for other people.
Mm-hmm.
And, from a value perspective, is this person selfish? Are they only giving me or doing XYZ to benefit themselves and to stand themselves higher by using me? And if they're that person, you stay away from them. Or are they actually trying to lift me up and lift others up around them? That's the kind of person that you want to have in your corner, helping you in this journey. So there's a lot to think about, but it can be a long journey, but it's very rewarding if you connect all the dots.
Yeah, yeah, and to your point that it's not ballet, it does hurt. I can attest to that. You had me in the ring a couple months ago.
I had you in the ring. What was I doing?
and teaching me a few rolls and some bumps. And when I say my body hurt for at least a week, I felt like I got hit by a truck. Like my abs hurt. I didn't realize I had there's muscles in my stomach and in my sides that I didn't realize were there, and have not probably been worked out in years. Like I couldn't even just trying to sit up in bed. Like I couldn't do it. I had to roll out of bed. But it was well worth the experience for sure, man. Because
I'll roll around with you some more, and I can't wait to actually get you in there and throw you around and get you to do some more things.
I need to come down to the training school with Nick sometime, because I don't think I could do it before a show. I had to go get some medicine after that. I felt like I was going to get sick.
I remember me taking my first couple of bumps and everything, and then I was like, no. Because your natural instincts are to fall a certain way, to protect yourself if you're falling down or whatever. There's a natural instinct, a survival telling you how to fall down a certain way. Mm-hmm. And then when you actually take an impact, and you've never taken an impact like that before, you tense up a certain way.
Yeah.
And when you do take the impact, it's very easy, I guess, on day one to pull certain muscles. My very first day of taking actual bumps, my neck was tingling. And it's because I was so tense when I was going down that I strained certain parts of my muscular system. And on my way home, I was, I turned my head sideways and it hurt kind of funny. And I turned my head this way and it hurt kind of funny. And I was like, well, I'm definitely not bumping the right way, because that's not supposed to be there. But as time went on and I started learning how to bump the right way, mm-hmm. and I didn't have those problems anymore. And I was trained successfully and professionally to land a certain way. And eventually it hurts, right?
Yeah.
But it's not as devastating the next day as it was when the very first time.
Right.
Kind of like what Cody Rhodes said a couple months ago. It was something to the effect of, what do you say? And take some bumps, and then take some more bumps, and then keep taking bumps, and keep going until you don't feel the bumps anymore. It's kind of like that. So now I'm at the point where it hurts, especially after or the next day. But when you're in there and your adrenaline's high and everything, you're bumping, you're doing whatever. It hurts, but you're able to keep going and function normally, if that makes sense. But I know I'm proud of you, brother, because there were some things that I think you didn't think you could do, and I think you were pushing yourself a little bit with some of those maneuvers, and you were able to do them in the end. And I'll go light on you next time, even before a show. Yeah.
Well, switching gears a little bit, I know you do work with other promotions outside of ACW, PPW. I know you're a big part of. Between them and ACW, what's kind of surprised you the most about maybe some of the reactions that people have had with Travis Norbert?
Also, don't want to forget Titan in New Jersey. I do a lot of work with Titan now. I have a lot of fun up there, and I love working there. But yeah, so I try to stay just one promotion in each state. So I got Pennsylvania, Maryland, New Jersey. I don't really like working other promotions in the same state, but those are the things for me. But things that have surprised me in other areas with, I guess, fans or whatever. So the reality that people have taken time out to make signs. I have people that have dressed up as the Travis Norbert State Athletic Commissioner, and they've paid to get screen printing or embroidery on the back of their shirt, and they've come to the shows with it.
Yeah.
Is wild. That's super flattering. And I have some people that will come with signs with my face, and they've taken time to cut out a Travis Norbert head and put it on a big stick.
Yeah.
It's in the front row. Larry Dell. people buying T-shirts for a heel. I'm not supposed to sell T-shirts. I'm a heel. People buy it. There's people that want to take photos with me that it never gets old. It's flattering.
Yeah.
It makes me feel like I've accomplished something when people want to take a photo with me. One of the things that I like a lot that really stands out is we have a fellow who uses a wheelchair in Pennsylvania, and he hates my guts. He hates me. And I give it back to him. Travis Norbert likes to pick on people who sit in wheelchairs, by the way, because they have an unfair advantage. They think because they're in a wheelchair and they can go faster than me, that they're better than me. That's what,
that's fair.
That's the way it is. Yeah. So, and he hates my guts, but his mother loves Travis Norbert. She loves him. So when he comes up to a merch table and he's assaulting me sometimes, he's physically assaulting me sometimes, I let him get away with it. Yeah. He hates my guts, but then his mom wants to take a picture with me. And then she's smiling and laughing and having a good time, and he's sitting there looking up at her, and he's mad as hell at his mom. Right. He's mad. It's stuff like that just I think about it sometimes when I'm driving home from these shows, and I laugh, I giggle. Right. That's funny shit. There's a lady in Pennsylvania, and I think she's 98 years old. Okay. She's 98 years old, and she loved Travis Norbert. She loved him. And in that part of Pennsylvania, I don't work anymore, but I know she's in a senior living facility up there. And I feel like the next time I'm in town, I kind of want to go visit her because she loved Travis Norbert so much. And she made an impact on me, just like having someone, sit there that age, and she's really enjoying it. Yeah. That kind of sticks with you. Right. For whatever reason. Sometimes I fool people and they think that that's my real voice. Travis Norbert's here and I'm going to check things out. That's right. They think that's my real voice. And then when they hear my real voice, they're like, well, that's not his real voice.
That even threw me for a while. I had talked to you before, Norbert, and I knew what your real voice was, but then I got so used to hearing Norbert that I'd see you at shows, and then you'd talk in your normal voice, and it would throw me for just a second.
Yeah, that surprises me sometimes that some of the wrestlers will get fooled. Yeah. Whether it be them thinking I'm the real athletic commissioner who's got something wrong with him. Right. But he's like the real commissioner, so I guess we got to be on our T's, So it's stuff like that sticks out at me. One day when I'm not able to do this anymore, I'm going to have some really cool memories. So the more memories I can make, the better. Because you get old and decrepit and senile, you're going to want shit to remember.
There we go. That's right. And yeah, man. And so I'll kind of wrap things up here a little bit. One question I'm going to probably ask everybody, and I think this is a tough one and probably varies from person to person. Who would you put on your Mount Rushmore of wrestling, and why?
Oh, so it's 4. This is weird because I'm on the inside, what I mean? So I'll do this. I'll do 2 as a fan and 2 as a worker. All right. Okay. So 2 as a fan, for me, it's going to be Ric Flair and CM Punk.
Okay.
Ric Flair for being the greatest worker of all time. I think the greatest entertainer, of a generation, and just the absolute best at what it is to be a professional wrestler. CM Punk, same thing.
Okay.
But a different dynamic with character work. Mm-hmm. Punk more for representing, I guess, a resistance or a counterculture. Ric Flair for embodying what it meant to be powerful and rich in the 80s, as a bad guy.
Yeah.
And the gift of gab that those two have, it's unmatched as far as I'm concerned. Now, as as a worker, my I'll throw two in there is Arn Anderson. I've spent a long time alone talking to Arn Anderson and developed a relationship with him, and he's given me a lot of advice. Everybody that I run into has nothing but kind words to say about Arn Anderson. I've not met a single wrestler or even a fan that has something bad to say about Arn Anderson.
Yeah.
Not a single one. When my dad passed away, and I went up to WrestleCon in Cleveland, and Arn Anderson was one of the first person that I saw there. And this is after he and I had a long discussion. And he asked me, he's like, "Hey, how's your dad?" First thing out of his mouth, and my dad just passed away. So it was like, it's kind of weird because me and my dad used to sit in front of the television watching Arn Anderson.
Yeah.
and then, unfortunately, when my dad passed away, I have Arn Anderson asking me how my dad is doing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of this weird.
Such a full circle moment.
It's that's like a special, person to me. I haven't even thought about this, so this is cool. You asked me these curveball questions here. I guess I have to give it to James Ellsworth.
Okay. Yeah.
Because Jimmy, as a worker, Jimmy has given me a lot of opportunity. He gave me my berth on a wrestling platform. Had faith in me. Had he not had faith in me to go out there and be able to perform, he would have never put me out there in those positions.
Yeah.
And he trusts me with that microphone. I could go out there and bury his company. I could go out there and say something really stupid. I could go out there and get us all thrown out. I could do whatever. And he trusts me to be a professional.
Yeah.
And for me to have a support like that from someone who was in the WWE, it means a lot to me. And Jimmy was also there for me when my father passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And that meant a lot to me. So for me, for different reasons, and it's not like I'm just saying, oh, these are the four greatest wrestlers of all time. I have reasons for why I put those four on my personal Mount Rushmore.
Well, I appreciate it, man. Last question. Where can fans find you on social media?
Everywhere. I've infiltrated everything. I am in your mother's VHS cassette tape. I am on your 8-tracks. I am everywhere. You can follow Travis Norbert on YouTube, on Facebook, Instagram, X, Patreon, and maybe Pinterest.
Okay.
Don't forget about Pinterest.
Pinterest. There we go.
See? And maybe even Justin TV.
Okay.
See? What do you know about Justin TV?
I don't know anything about Justin.
Andy, it's Twitch.
Twitch.
Follow him on Twitch. That's right. He's everywhere. So, Instagram, it's real Travis Norbert. And everywhere else, it's literally Travis Norbert.
Okay.
I try to keep the name same everywhere.
Keep it consistent. Yeah, keep it consistent.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you making time to come on. I look forward to seeing you at the next show here in a couple weeks, and hope you and your family are doing well.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All righty. See ya.
Adrenaline rush now. Adrenaline rush now. Adrenaline rush.